Good afternoon. Hi there. My name is Christy Clemens Hoffman. I am an angel intuitive, Akashic Records reader, and Reiki master, as well as hypnotherapist. Heck, I do a lot of stuff. Based in Kansas City, Missouri. Coming to you from the office I share with Kathy Lessmeister, who's another practitioner, and coming to you live with Angel Connections. So in late 2019, I set out in 2020 to bring forth a different angel ascended master, others spiritual being, to talk with about two in 2020. So each week I focus on a different ascended master or archangel or other spiritual beings. I don't know. We haven't encountered all of them yet. Far from it. In fact, there are more than just 52. So we may see what happens next year. But today I am coming to you live to talk about and to Ida 10, or perhaps it's Ida 10. Oh, that sounds better, doesn't it? Ida 10. So, reading from Doreen Virtue's book, Archangels and Ascended Masters, about Ida 10, also known as Idaten, all one word, but it does have a hyphen in this book, from Japan. Idaten is from Japan. Idaten is the Japanese god of law, truth, purity, legal victory, and justice. A protector of monasteries, he has miraculous speed. As a mortal, he was a handsome young general in charge of protecting Buddhist monks and Buddhism itself. Idaten can guard against religious persecution or help you avert ridicule with respect to your spiritual beliefs. Have you been there? I have. As quiet as a church mouse, this mild-mannered deity whispers powerful, provocative advice into your ear regarding legal moves and maneuvers. Highly ethical. I feel that is important and key. Highly ethical, Idaten nonetheless says, I consider lawsuits a form of sport wherein the champion exhibits superior wit, outsmarting the other like in a game of chess. Idaten helps with justice, winning lawsuits, protection against religious or spiritual persecution, protection of spiritual centers, truth issues, and that's about it. So we can contact him for productive energy and productive energy. So this being, this Ascended Master, was suggested to me on my Angel's Guidance with Christy Clemens Hoffman Facebook page this morning. I was looking for someone to speak with and to about here on YouTube on this platform. And one of my viewers had suggested this Ascended Master, which I feel is really apt. I'm recording this live on June 8th, 2020. The whole year of 2020 has been tumultuous, but the past week, a week and a half perhaps, it's been, well, since Memorial Day, has been particularly tumultuous with the death of George Floyd, actually the murder of George Floyd, which was witnessed in Minneapolis by many standers-by who had asked his murderers to let him up. He had asked his murderers to let him up as well. And ensuing his murder on Memorial Day, the whole world has set out to protest the unjust and unfair treatment of Blacks in America, other countries as well. But this has been a real problem for us for hundreds of years in this country. Of course, I am American, based in Kansas City, Missouri. So these questions of fairness and justice, and I have seen the statistics. There may be more white people than Black people killed by police. However, the numbers of white people are greater than the numbers of Black people in the United States. And disproportionately, police have killed more Black people unfairly, unjustly, largely unarmed people they've been killing. So this whole year of 2020 seems to be the reset button, with COVID first being a wake-up call to slow down, to turn to each other, to help each other, right? To help each other to stay well, to help each other with food and resources that we need with the economic situation that we're in as a result of the virus, with wearing masks and protective equipment when we are out in crowds among more than 10 people at a time, with keeping distance socially and physically, that we are being called to help each other, take care of each other, right? And then on top of that, we've been faced with mass protest against police brutality, specifically police brutality against Black people in America. And like I said, the whole world has taken on this theme, and we see protests in London, Paris, Berlin, all over the world. We're seeing protests. Canada as well, I'm sure Mexico, though I've not seen that directly. So many people have gotten on the bandwagon that policing techniques need to be more humane, that there are certain practices which lead to harm that are trained and taught in police departments across our country. So I feel like calling Idaten in is really needed right now. So we can all call in this Japanese Ascended Master to bring more justice and fairness. Now, Doreen Virtue's book describes Idaten as being more aligned with protection of spiritual practices. But what is love but a spiritual practice? Jesus, of course, taught many, many years ago, thousands of years ago, to love thy neighbor as thyself and to treat others as you would have them treat you. I wouldn't put a chokehold on anybody. I would not kneel on anyone's neck. Why would I want to wish that on someone? I want to be treated fairly and justly. And that is what I wish for other people as well. Compassion as a spiritual practice, right? So we can call on Idaten to help us with our spiritual practice of compassion, to help us all in terms of finding justice and practicing the same. So he's definitely wanting to have a message here. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me, and the presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. He says, greetings, I am Idaten. I represent the wish and the striving for justice all across the world, but interplanetary as well. This is a great time in your society, in your collective that you're experiencing right now. There have been questions of injustice spanning the entire history of your planet. It is time for there finally to be more justice in your world. It is our hope at this station that more would wake up to the possibilities of creating justice, of bringing justice. It is our hope at this station that more are waking up, and it's our observation as well of others who are awakening to the work that they individually can do to bring more justice to the world. And if you think that you cannot bring more justice to the world, stop that thought, because there's something everyone can do, even from changing our language. There are so many instances of your own language that you can look at and you can begin to change, bringing about a feeling of more equanimity, a feeling of more equality among those you call races. Honestly, there's only one race, and that is the human race. But as you start to look at your language and start using alternate forms of communication and alternate words to express the same thing, for example, the phrase calling the pot calling the kettle black, as you say. This is don't do as I say, or do as I say, not as I do. Or there are other forms of this. Do the pot calling the kettle black, that is calling out hypocrisy. And so why not just call out hypocrisy? Things being black and white. How about things being true and false? there are many ways to call out language in your various languages around the world. So we call on you to do that and find alternate forms of address and alternate forms of expression. These idioms that you use are many times outdated, and it's time to bring them up to something that is more true. There are many other things that you can do as well. You can fund what you call minority businesses. You can seek out minority-owned businesses to do commerce with and to protect. You can fund groups and participate in groups that are calling for equal justice and reforms against policing and policing the brutality of policing. So you can work toward more justice and equality there. You can contribute to education funds so that those in so-called minorities have more opportunity, because that is really the foundation of social justice, and the foundation of justice in particular is opportunity. When others have, or so-called others have, a lack of opportunity, that creates desperation, and desperation breeds a pressing down and oppressing of those peoples. So creating opportunity is part of justice. We will support you in this whenever you wish. You can call on me, E.10. You can call on Lu Sing as well to create alternate forms of employment and education, creating more justice and more opportunities. And lastly, treat yourself with justice. Treat yourself with fairness. We are all learning, and you are all learning as well. If you are in the privileged race, you can teach others about your privilege, and you can use your privilege to create more justice. You can bring more education as well. You can teach others how to be more compassionate. You can teach others how to speak with more grace and more truth. Oh, and then he signs out. He withdraws his energy. Good. I believe that message is a very, very good one. We can all look at our language. Why is one thing dark and one thing light? Why is darkness bad, light good? They're both equally needed in our world today. Darkness and light, they balance each other. Why do we call bad things dark and good things light? Right? Why are brunettes often not looked on as well as blondes in our society? If we look around, we'll see this all over our country and our society. Muhammad Ali had a wonderful interview that he did on British television where he talks about just that. And he would ask his mom, well, why are the bad guys in black hats and the good guys in white hats? It's even as simple as that. Many messages that we see all around us, and if you look really hard, you're going to see it everywhere. There was even a study done by some researchers. They had children come in, and of course, children are born without any bias at all. They have to be taught bias. And so these children were put in a room with two dolls. One was an African-American doll, one was a white doll or a Caucasian doll. And they had to tell which one was the good doll and which one was the bad doll. And the white children pointed to, well, in fact, all of the children in that study pointed to the white doll as good and the black doll as bad. So, or nearly all of the children in that study. But you see that these racial biases are learned in all kinds of different ways. And so we can affect social justice by looking at our own biases. So just as a practitioner, as a person who's interested in social justice, I would ask you to look at your own biases. Look at the language that you use, right? And just strive to do differently. Strive to learn more. Strive to educate yourself on bias. Strive to inform yourself and educate yourself on your language. Rihanna Kay says, as humans, we almost need some word to identify what it is, perhaps, hence dark, bad, dark, good, light. Plus, I feel that words are chosen for one another, seem to have a matching frequency. Well, but there's our language, right? Bad is dark and good is light. How about just say bad is negative and good is positive, right? There we take a judgment about light and dark out of it entirely, because that is not truth. Because we need to have that balance. So just using our words in pure form can help quite a bit to achieve more racial and social justice. So that is my visit with E.10 today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe to this channel, and then you'll be notified every time I go live to talk about a different angelic being or ascended master. Also, you'll be notified every time we have a new podcast. And if you like podcasts, go back and listen to some of our past episodes. I speak with Darcy Graves, who teaches about solidarity. She actually teaches doctors and other professionals to be aware of their biases and inclusion. She teaches inclusion and does so for the government now. There's also Tracy Sorrell, who wrote a book based on her Cherokee language, because she's a Cherokee. And she wanted a book that featured other Cherokees so that her son could read a children's book that had people who looked like him. It's important. There's also a talk with Tracy. Oh, goodness, this is bad. I can't remember her last name. But she talks about inclusion as well. Tracy Brown. I'm so sorry. Tracy Brown on the podcast. So many opportunities just to learn more about bias and inclusion, as well as diversity. And if anyone around you says that they are colorblind and they don't see color, well, just know that they're perhaps lying, because or they just don't quite understand. We need to embrace our diversity and celebrate our diversity. We're wonderfully, wonderfully diverse, and thank God for that. All right, well, that's it. I will see you next week. I don't know who we're going to be talking with next week, so if you have any requests, put it in the comments, please. You can also join our Radiate You page on Facebook. That is Radiate You, the letter U, like university. And sometimes I'll put a poll in there, and then let members of that group vote on that. That Facebook group is a subscription-based group, and it has lots of great content on it. All right, until next week, I will see you then. Bye-bye. Have a great week.